What's going on, guys? This is the Leafs Convo podcast, proudly presented by Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, vanguardne.ca. I'm Norman James, along with Mike Augello. We're coming off a 3-1 Leafs defeat at the hands of the President's Trophy winning Tampa Bay Lightning at Scotiabank Arena. One game left to play in this regular season that has, in my opinion, been a slight disappointment. Mr. Augello, how are you feeling after the Leafs' latest loss?
Good morning, Norman. I went into that game basically from the Leaf perspective, looking at it and saying, just don't get hurt. It was, Jake Gardiner getting in the lineup to see if his back is okay. But, I think Mike Babcock's main focus was, let's just get out of this game unscathed without anybody getting injured. And the result is really meaningless. And, they played an up-tempo game, but there was little checking and body contact. So it was fine in that respect. It was a good effort, but the better team, Tampa Bay is the President's Trophy winner, so they're the better team and they won. But it was really a meaningless game, and thankfully for the Leafs, nobody got hurt.
It wasn't, Mike. We're chock full of excuses now because the back third of the season has been one big excuse. This team has not achieved what it should have achieved. The good thing is there's still some playoffs to compete in, and let's hope a switch is flipped in the positive for the Maple Leafs. I asked OGs and converts on social media for them to please share 5 good things, according to them, from this Leaf season. And when you have a call to action, Mike, it seems like it's a real good opportunity for engagement. Everybody's fired up to have their say and add their 2 cents. So, Mike, just off the top of your head, because we know you are the omniscient one when it comes to hockey. You're an encyclopedia. You have all that information ready to go. You're ready to compute and spit it out. 5 things off the top of your head, whether it's aspects, players that you can think of right now that you're pleased with after 81 games of the regular season.
Well, I think everybody has to be pleased with the performance of John Tavares. Usually when a player comes in and signs a mega $1 million contract, at least in the history of the Leafs, they don't play up to expectations, and he has done that and more, scoring now 47 goals, being second on the team in scoring. I think his ability to adjust to the media pressure of Toronto and perform at a high level is definitely a plus for this organization. And if he continues to do that for the most of the remaining 6 years of that contract, then this will be one of the best free agent signings in history.
Sure.
Now, I look at things individually. Zach Hyman scoring 20 goals, where I think most people didn't think he had the offensive ability to do so, but he's benefited from playing on the left side with Tavares and Marner. Marner nearly getting 100 points. These are all individual aspects. I think the improvement of Travis Dermott as somebody who I think will step in as a top 4 defenseman next year. And Freddie Anderson, up until the month of March, I think was probably this team's most valuable player. I think he suffered from the fact that he played too many games. He had a break due to injury, and he had to play in March when this team should have been closer to getting home ice advantage, play more games than I think he should have. The failure of Garrett Sparks as a backup goaltender led Babcock to have to play Anderson as much as he did. I think he's going to end up with 60 games. It should be less than that. You should have a number 2 that you have confidence in, that you can play 25 to 27 games, and they haven't had that this year.
I said 5 good things.
Well, I'm saying Anderson's performance is a good thing, but it's mitigated by the fact that he had to play too much.
Sorry, Mike. I love you to death, man. You're the best in the world, honestly. And
it's funny because somebody on Twitter was making a comment on listening to the Convo and said that he couldn't listen to it anymore because I was too negative. And I'm sorry. It's like when a team, if you want some pom-pom waving. This is not the podcast for you. If you want somebody to tell it like it is, I'm not anti-Leaf, but when I see things that I don't think are as expected or didn't live up to expectations, I'm going to call it that way. So, if you want to hear that kind of stuff, listen to another podcast.
I have a neighbor who used to listen to us and has politely bowed out of being an OG, and he's always supportive when I talk about the Convo. But he's one of those people who just wants to tune in to a podcast and hear stuff that he likes and stuff that he agrees with. And that's his business. We are going to do this podcast the way we want to and the way we feel it needs to be done until it's just time to shut it down or it's time to go to the next level. That's what it's about. It's our podcast. We decide what we talk about. We're fueled by the OGs and the converts, Mike. And I've said this ad nauseum. I would love nothing more than to fanboy this thing out. I'll get into a Maple Leafs onesie and run up and down Richmond in London or Yonge in Toronto and fanboy the hell out of it. There's nothing to fanboy about right now. We have to be honest with what's going on. It's great that the OGs and converts keep us in check at times, but also listen to what we're trying to say because, Mike, I don't want to toot our horn here. Just about everything we've predicted has come true. And sometimes these predictions are made based on fear. Other times they're based on bravado. And, I honestly would much rather be talking about how we think the Leafs are going to spank everyone and win their first cup since 67. I'm sorry. Nothing has been presented to us to make the case that the Leafs are in position to do so. This is the Leafs Convo for Vanguard, Northeast Realty in Toronto, VanguardNE.ca. Chuck U. Farley on Twitter. After I asked OGs and converts to give me 5 good things from the season, number 1 through 4, Marner. Number 5, Tavares, Carson, Rodar. The way Tavares came into TO exceeded expectations. He likes Johnson having a great season. Number 5 for him. 20-plus goals, not too bad.
That's a good
Bridget Haftelin,
that's
Freddie,
a good one. Yeah.
playing really well. And she says, I know it's small, but I like Kyle Dubas letting the players focus on personal expression. Okay, I see that. The Habs troll, John Tavares, almost 50 goals. Mitch Marner with all the assists, Morgan Riley, his point total, Freddie with a Vezina-type season, and Marty the Machine Marincin. One more, Johnny Toronto. Number 1 for him, John Tavares, Morgan Riley. Number 2, making the playoffs. Number 4, the kids are another year older and wiser. But Johnny T, are they better? On a personal note, I got to see them beat the Habs in person at the home opener. Way to go, Johnny. Daniel K, Marner, Johnny, Austin, Riley, and of course, Freddie. Last one, Antags. John Tavares in his monster season, Morgan Riley, Freddie Anderson. I was about to say Freddie Gauthier. Jake Muzzin addition is underrated. We'll start seeing that pay dividends in the next week. Oh, no, number 5, William LOL. No. Not one William Nylander hype or excitement. Not one William Nylander stamp of approval after his signing, Mike. And I know people think we're the anti-William Nylander show, but I mean, number 29, show up.
Yeah, I mean, from the list that you read, Morgan Riley definitely is worthy of top 5, and so is Andreas Janssen and maybe even Kasperi Kapanen, although he's really tailed off at the end of the season. But I think, I like the effort of Kapanen, even though he's been frustrated offensively, as opposed to number 29, who sometimes I feel like he simply does. He's not in the same game as some of the other players. And I know I've heard like members in the media talk about other members of the media talk about, it's a chance for Nylander to go into the playoffs and sort of wipe the slate clean in terms of, getting past a bad regular season and showing up in the playoffs. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I'd like to say that it's going to happen, that he's going to step forward with Austin Matthews and have a great playoff. And if he does, I'll be the first one to say, he deserves the credit for doing that. But I believe in looking at what a team has done throughout the year and reflecting on that, what the expectations of what they're going to do in the postseason. And all I'm expecting out of William Nylander is more than what I've seen in the 50 some odd games he's played. So
is he helping his trade value, Mike? Is he doing anything to bolster his trade value, or does it really matter? You know what you get with this guy. He's still going to be a tradable commodity that should reap a decent return.
I don't think that this season is going to affect his trade value positively or negatively. I mean, you have to say if he had 80 goals, of course everybody would want him. But a lot of times when players hold out, it's going to affect their play in
Yeah.
a negative way, and I think that's accepted. But there are teams out there starved for offense that'll be looking for a scoring winger like Nylander. There are some teams that may even envision him as a center, which he can play. I don't think he'll ever play center on a regular basis with the Leafs, but I think that his
Yeah.
value is fine. And if Kyle Dubas in the summer decides that he wants to trade him, he'll be able to, and I think he'll be able to get a good return. But right now, we should obviously stay focused on the upcoming series.
Yeah, I hope he
against
has
the
a great
Bruins.
series because he's going to fatten up his trade value. Look, he played roughly 3/4 of the season with the Leafs. Those 3/4 of the season were just above mediocre. And it's not because William Nylander's a bad cat or he's not a good player. The Leafs just didn't need him, and they still don't. And I hope he has a great playoff to help the Leafs get to where they want to go and help him get to a new destination to reinvigorate his career and help the Maple Leafs bring back what they really need. Bill Stewart, before we go, number one, good thing about the season, fabulous debut for Tavares, near MVP season for Freddie. Number two, number three, emergence of Riley as a legit top D-man. Absolutely, Bill. Another great season for Marner and beating the Habs regularly. Anything else you want to add, Mike?
Well, I was curious at the move this morning that the Leafs recalled Michael Hutchinson from the Marlies. Now, the strange thing is that the Marlies are in the playoffs. They're probably going to play Rochester in the first round of the Calder Cup playoffs. With the recall of Hutchinson, they have Kazimir Kaskisuo in goal. And I don't know whether the signing of Joseph Wall or Ian Scott of depending. I know Wall could step in, but based on what he had talked about last week, he's probably coming back to Boston College to finish his exams for school. Ian Scott has had a great year in the WHL, so I don't know if he'll be available. So it basically leaves the Marlies with Kaskisuo and I believe Eamon McAdam as their 1-2 in net. That takes, but the needs of the NHL club take precedence over the AHL club. And to my mind, there's nothing said more than this is a definite expression of a lack of confidence in Garrett Sparks. That I would not be surprised, and maybe I'm out on a limb here. This could simply be Hutchinson being recalled as to be a black ace, to be the third string guy. But based on the way Sparks has played the last couple months, where he's lost 8 of his last 10 games, I would not be surprised if Michael Hutchinson is the backup on the bench in Game 1 on Thursday in Boston. That's the only way that this makes sense. I mean, you're calling up a goaltender with 100 games of NHL experience, and you've got Garrett Sparks, who has less than, I think, 40. And in the last 10 games, he's gone 2-8 with a goals against under 900, goals against of over 3.3 and save percentage of under 900. So that's a statement that there's no trust in this goaltender.
Man, I love me some Garrett Sparks. I wish he could have performed better, but it's not like the environment was conducive to a backup who needed to find his way, finding his way. The Leafs have been a bag of thumbtacks for so long, and to rely on number 40 to come in and save the day when that guy, he can't even save himself from the scrap heap. It doesn't make any sense. And it would suck to not have him as the backup, just from an optical point of view. But the best thing for this team is probably to have Michael Hutchinson off spell Freddie Anderson. And who knows what we're going to get with this Boston series. We're going to be thinking about that, talking about it, dissecting it. We're going to be here for one another as the days and hours and minutes lead up to puck drop April 11th in Boston. So we'll deal with that effed up topic at another moment. For now, we've got the positive, the good things. We're trying to see the light from this season that has been dimming over the last little while. Michael, enjoy your day. We shall reconvene soon.
We would like to thank Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, title sponsor of the Leafs Convo, demonstrating passion for the industry and a superior level of excellence in selling, leasing, and marketing your property. Vanguard Northeast Realty.